name is Ethan, and I'm a documentary filmmaker. I've explored many strange and haunted places in my life, but nothing has ever shaken me like what I experienced at Ashwood Manor. That place, it left a scar on my soul. Ashwood Manor stands near a small village in England, long abandoned and feared by the locals. They call it cursed. Over the years, rumors of ghostly figures, flickering lights, and mysterious whispers have become part of the village's dark folklore. I went there with my team, Anna, my field researcher, John, the cameraman, and Michael, a historian with deep knowledge of British folklore. We wanted to uncover the truth, to document whatever haunted the manor and bring the story to the world. When we arrived in the village, the locals stared at us with quiet disapproval. Most refused to talk about the manor, but when we mentioned Elizabeth Ashwood, their faces turned pale with a mix of fear and sorrow. She was the last living member of the Ashwood family, a young woman who disappeared under mysterious circumstances. No one ever found her body. Since then, Ashwood Manor had remained sealed, silent, and shrouded in darkness. On the first day we approached the mansion, its grand wooden doors groaned open, revealing a rotting interior frozen in time. Torn curtains, shattered glass, broken furniture, and that unbearable, unnatural silence. It felt as if the air inside the manor had weight, heavy with memories and unspoken horrors. That night, something happened. We were sitting in the main hall, reviewing footage, when suddenly a door slammed shut. Loud, violent. It startled us all. Then came the voice, a whisper low and pleading. "Help me!" We froze. There was no one around, but the voice, it felt close. Too close. Michael showed us some old letters he'd found, written by Elizabeth. In them, she described feeling trapped in the house, claiming a dark force wouldn't let her leave. In one note, she wrote, "Even in death, I am not free." The handwriting was shaky, filled with dread. It was then that we knew. We weren't just dealing with myths. There was something real here. In the east wing, we discovered a hidden chamber. The air there was even colder. Dust-covered shelves of ancient books, and in the center of the room, an old writing desk. Inside it, Elizabeth's journals. Her final entries were terrifying. She spoke of waking up paralyzed, seeing figures standing by her bed, hearing her name whispered from the walls. On the second night, we heard crying, a soft, mournful sob echoing through the manor. We followed the sound with our cameras. Suddenly, John gasped. In the viewfinder, a faint figure appeared, a shadowy girl walking slowly along the hallway wall. Then she turned. Her face went pale, hollow-eyed and lost, stared directly into the lens before vanishing. The following night, everything went wrong. The power cut out. Complete darkness swallowed us. I called out to the team, but the silence was overwhelming. Then from the staircase, a figure emerged. Elizabeth, or what was left of her. Her form was translucent, eyes glowing faintly red. Her voice filled the room. "You shouldn't have come." Doors slammed shut around us. The manor came alive with whispers, wails, the creaking of footsteps that didn't belong to any of us. I grabbed my equipment and ran, smashing a window and leaping out. I was injured, bleeding, but I got out. Anna, John, and Michael. They didn't. I don't know what happened to them after that night. I never saw them again. All that remains is the footage, haunted frames filled with shadows and cries. And still, sometimes, late at night, I hear whispers outside my window. A woman's voice. "Help me." After I escaped, I dug deeper into the Ashwood family's history. Michael's research led me to a journal dated over 150 years ago. The Ashwoods were once a powerful family, but they made a pact. An ancient curse, sealed with blood, promised fortune in exchange for loyalty to a dark spirit that lived beneath the manor. Generation after generation, they kept the secret, until Elizabeth. She wanted to break free, but the curse didn't let her go. It never lets anyone go. In the basement, we had found a locked trunk. Inside it was an old parchment, a curse written in Latin, bound with a strange symbol. Michael translated it. It said, "Let none leave who disturbs the peace of this house. Let their souls stay bound forever." The haunting wasn't random. It was a trap. Elizabeth's final message wasn't just a cry for help. It was a warning. Anna once said during our first night, "This place isn't just haunted, it's alive, and it wants us." At the time, I thought she was being dramatic. Now I understand. The manor doesn't just scare you, it feeds on your fear. It watches, waits, and when the time is right, it takes. I tried to go back once, months later with a larger crew. But the path was gone, literally. The road leading to Ashwood Manor no longer exists. Maps don't show it. The village where we stayed? Empty, deserted. It's as if none of it ever happened. But I have the footage, the cries, the shadows, the final moments. I've shared the documentary online, hoping that someone, somewhere might believe me. Or better yet, help me understand what I saw. But deep down, I know. Ashwood Manor is still there, waiting. And Elizabeth, she's still trapped. And maybe, just maybe one day, I'll go back. But next time, I may not return. Buying that house on Windermere Street was the biggest mistake of my life. But back then, I didn't realize I was unlocking the door to a graveyard. My name is Sarah Malik. I moved to Liverpool from Pakistan after marrying Hassan, a software engineer. His company offered us support to buy a home, and when we saw the old Victorian mansion on Windermere Street, he instantly fell in love with it. I didn't. I felt cold. The kind of cold that creeps into your bones, even when the sun is out. "It's just a new place," Hassan laughed. "The house is a steal. 3 stories, vintage charm, and half the price." I wanted to believe him, but the very first night as we lay in bed, I heard it. Soft sobbing sounds from the upper floor. Not the wind, not the creaking of old wood. It was someone crying. Hassan brushed it off. Probably a draft or some old plumbing. But I knew what I heard. Grief. Pain. Something human. The next day, I searched the house top to bottom. There was a locked room on the 3rd floor. Rust clung to the doorknob. No key. When I told Hassan, he shrugged. Probably just his storage. But I insisted. So the next day, he broke the lock. As the door creaked open, a wave of rotten air hit me, like damp wood, old cloth, and something else. Something dead. In the middle of the room sat an antique rocking chair, slowly moving. Though the windows were shut tight, paintings hung on the walls. Portraits of a woman in black, her eyes hollow, always staring. Hassan read the name etched on one of the frames. Edith Weller. That night I saw her, in my dreams. A pale woman in black, whispering the same words over and over. "Where's my son? Where's my son?" I woke up gasping. I could swear someone had been standing beside the bed. Hassan comforted me, chalking it up to stress. But something was changing. The 3rd floor room felt alive. The rocking chair moved more often. One night, the painting's face looked wet, like Edith was crying. Once, when I walked in, I felt a cold hand brush against mine. I froze. It was real. One afternoon, I met our elderly neighbor, Mrs. Yvonne, a longtime Windermere Street resident. When I mentioned the Weller house, she turned pale. "You bought that house?" Edith Weller lived there. Her son went missing in the war. She waited years. People say she went mad. Took her life in that same rocking chair. They say her spirit never left. I laughed nervously. But that night in my dreams, Edith grabbed my hand. "Help me find him. You'll help me, won't you?" Weeks passed. Hassan changed. He was distant, quiet. His eyes looked tired, haunted. One night I heard him mumbling in his sleep. "I'm coming, Edith. I'll find him." He wasn't himself anymore. And then one morning, he was just gone. Police couldn't find a trace, so I went looking myself. At the local library, I found an old newspaper clipping from 1943. Local woman Edith Weller loses son William in World War II. Later found dead in her home, clutching his photograph. But here's the thing. William wasn't confirmed dead. He vanished in Europe. Some believed he deserted. Some believed he was coming back. And when Edith died, her body was found right there, in that same rocking chair. One stormy night, I climbed to the third floor. The door was already open. Inside was sat Hassan. His eyes were closed, his skin pale, no breath, dead. And then, a whisper. "You brought him back to me?" Edith's voice, from nowhere. Suddenly, Hassan's eyes opened, but it wasn't him. "We're together now, Sarah, and soon, you'll be with us." I'm writing this, but I don't even know if this is real anymore. Every night, I see Hassan in that chair, sometimes dead, sometimes smiling, sometimes crying. Yesterday, I found old documents in a drawer, hidden under floorboards. One of them was my death certificate. Sarah Malik, deceased, died in house fire, June 6, 2023. I stood in front of the mirror. No reflection, nothing. I heard Edith's voice again. "You understand now, don't you? Hassan tried to save you, but you both died, and now, you're mine." It came rushing back. The fire, Hassan's scream, the smoke swallowing everything. We died, and this story, it's not a warning. It's a whisper from the dead. Because you, yes you, are thinking of buying this house on Windmere Street. Don't open that door on the third floor. Don't listen to the sobbing. Don't look at the rocking chair. Because once you hear her voice, we become four. People often ask me how I manage to sleep in a different hotel every night. Don't I ever feel scared of unfamiliar places, empty rooms, or eerie silence? And I always give the same answer. Scared? I'm a journalist. I hunt stories. I don't run from fear. But one night changed everything. That night made me stop looking into mirrors altogether. My name is Daniel Mercer, freelance photojournalist. That evening, I was driving through the outskirts of Baltimore. I was exhausted, hungry, and the highway was nearly empty under a dark, wet sky. That's when I spotted an old motel by the roadside, Red Pine Lodge. A flickering sign, rusted chains. The air smelled damp. I walked into the lobby. An unfamiliar man sat behind the counter, half asleep. I said one night, "Any room is fine." He looked up slowly and asked, "You okay with room number 13? I chuckled. "Yeah, I don't believe in superstitions." Room number 13 was small and musty. The wallpaper was peeling. The bed creaked. The curtains looked like they hadn't been washed in years. There was something off about the silence in that room. It wasn't peace. It felt like the walls were holding their breath. Near the bathroom door, I noticed a faint handprint, as if someone had been slapped there with force, and the stain never faded. I told myself it was just my tired mind playing tricks, but that illusion woke up with me at 2 a.m. I felt someone had just stepped into my room. The floor was wet. The lamp flickered on and off by itself. I opened the door. No one outside. But when I turned to the bathroom mirror, I froze. Through the fog on the glass, someone had written, "Let me out." I stared at it for a long, heavy moment, then turned off the light. I didn't want to think anymore. The next morning, I went to the front desk and asked the clerk, "Who stayed in that room before me?" He looked up quiet. "Last guest, never checked out." I raised my brows. "You mean he died?" He replied, "No, he disappeared, just gone, like smoke." Curious, I asked. "His name?" The clerk's face turned serious. "Daniel Mercer, same name as yours." I laughed nervously. "Must be a coincidence." He didn't laugh. "Same ID, same passport number, everything." The laugh dried up in my throat. I rushed back to my room and pulled out my passport from my bag. The date of birth printed on it was 1956. Not mine, someone else's. The room had gone cold. My fingers began to tremble. I looked in the mirror, and someone else looked back. He looked like me, but older, wrinkled, lifeless eyes, a version of me that had died a long time ago. He was speaking, but it wasn't my voice. "This is not your body anymore. I'm back now." I screamed, shattered the mirror with a punch, but even in the broken shards, he was still staring at me. I ran out into the lobby. The man behind the desk had changed. I shouted, "Room 13! I stayed there last night." The new clerk laughed lightly and replied, "Sir, this hotel doesn't have a room 13. I looked at the key in my hand. It now said, "Room 12. I left the motel, heart racing, drenched in fear. But just as I was walking out, I noticed a faded piece of paper on the notice board. Yellowed, cracked at the edges. It read, "In memory of Daniel Mercer, died 1994, room 13. I don't know who I am anymore. My photographs appear blurred. My voice doesn't sound like mine on recordings. And sometimes, the fog returns to the bathroom mirror on its own, and the same message appears again. Let me out." My steps faltered. The bag slipped from my hand, and for a moment, everything fell silent. Then I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned around. It was the receptionist. But now, he looked older. Much older. His eyes were filled with tears. He said, "You finally made it out?" "What do you mean?" I stepped back. He whispered, "We've been holding you here for 30 years. You come back every year. You always ask for room 13, and every time, you disappear again." I snapped, "That's ridiculous. I just got here." He slowly handed me a mirror, and this time, my reflection wasn't mine. A blank face, no eyes, no soul. Behind me stood the man, and now, he was me. My voice was gone. I could see, but not myself. Something else was inside me now. And I think I was once again trapped in room number 13, forever.